So, you ever stop and think about how something like the pyramids got built? Or even, how you can pop open a stubborn jar lid? Well, the secret is all around us, literally, hiding in plain sight. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the amazing physics of simple machines. These are the basic tools that honestly make our world go round. And we're going to kick things off with a little puzzle. Okay, so picture this. You need to lift a weight of 600 newtons. Now, to put that in perspective, that's like lifting about 135 pounds or 61 kilos. For most of us, that's a lot. It sounds pretty tough, right? Maybe even impossible. Okay, but here's the twist. What if I told you that you can only use 150 newtons of force? That's right, just a quarter of what the thing actually weighs. All of a sudden, this goes from being just difficult to, well, it feels impossible. I mean, how on earth do you just multiply your strength by 4? It sounds like magic, but I promise you it's not. It's just really, really cool physics. So how do we tackle problems like that one? Well, for centuries, we humans have had these secret weapons, a whole set of them actually. They're these simple devices that make work feel easier, either by changing the direction you push or pull, or by changing the amount of force you need. And you know what? They're the basic building blocks for pretty much every complex machine you can imagine. And here they are, the big six. You probably use these all the time without even thinking about it. Think about it. A lever? That's your scissors. A wheel and axle? That's a doorknob. An inclined plane is just a ramp. A wedge? Well, that's a knife. A screw holds a light bulb in place. And a pulley? Just look at a flagpole. They look so simple, right? But don't let that fool you. They are unbelievably powerful. All right, so how exactly do these simple-looking tools make us feel almost superhuman? What's the secret? Well, it all comes down to one key idea, something that acts like a force multiplier. This is the big principle that explains how a machine can take your effort and just give it a massive boost. This big idea is called mechanical advantage, or just MA, and its definition is actually super simple. It's just the ratio of the load, the heavy thing you're trying to move, to the effort, which is the force you're actually putting in. You can just think of it as a number that tells you exactly how much the machine is helping you out. And check this out. The formula is as simple as it gets. MA equals the load divided by the effort. So if we go back to our first problem, lifting that 600 Newton weight with just 150 newtons of effort, well, 600 divided by 150 is 4. Your mechanical advantage is 4. You have literally made your force 4 times stronger. Yeah, a really good way to think about this is to call it a strength score for the machine. If the score is 1, you're not getting any help. But a score of 4, the machine is making you 4 times stronger. The higher that number, the bigger the boost. And that right there is how simple machines make tough jobs feel easy. But, and you probably saw this coming, there's no such thing as a free lunch, especially not in physics. This amazing ability to multiply your force, it comes with a trade-off. You get more force, sure, but you have to pay for it somehow. So what's the price? Well, the price you pay is distance, and we have a way to measure that too. We call it the velocity ratio, or VR for short. Now, this isn't about how much force you use. It's all about the machine's physical design, its shape, its geometry. It's a measure of how far you have to move your part of the machine compared to how far the heavy load actually gets to move. And yeah, there's a formula for it. Velocity ratio is simply the distance you move divided by the distance the load moves. And here's a key difference. Unlike mechanical advantage, this number is totally fixed for any given machine. Why? Because it's based on its physical shape. How long a lever is or how big a wheel is. It doesn't change. And this is the perfect picture of that trade-off we were talking about. If you want that massive boost in force, you have to apply your smaller force over a way, way longer distance. Just think about it. Walking up a long, gentle ramp versus climbing a short, steep ladder to get to the same height. The ramp is easier, right? Less force. But you have to walk a lot farther to get to the top. All right, so in a perfect world, in a physics dreamland, every single bit of energy you put into a machine would come out as useful work. But we don't live in a perfect world. In the real world, there's always this annoying guest that crashes the party, and its name is friction. So let's just put them side by side. You've got your ideal imaginary machine. It's totally frictionless, 100% efficient. The work you put in is exactly the work you get out. Simple. But then you have a real machine, the kind we actually use. It always has friction. And that means you always have to put in more work than you get out, just because some of your effort gets wasted fighting against that friction. So, this brings us to our next big idea, efficiency. The best way to think about this is like a report card for the machine. It tells you exactly what percentage of the work you put in gets turned into useful work that actually moves the load. Everything else, it's just lost, usually as heat, thanks to our old friend friction. And check this out. Here's the beautiful formula that ties all three of our big ideas, MA, VR, and efficiency, together. Efficiency is just your mechanical advantage divided by your velocity ratio. Then you multiply by 100 to get a percentage. Now think about it. In a perfect machine with no friction, your MA would be equal to your VR, and boom, 100% efficiency. But in the real world, because of friction, your MA is always going to be a little bit less than your VR. All right, so we've covered the big three: mechanical advantage, the force booster; velocity ratio, the distance trade-off; and efficiency, the reality check. So now, let's put all this theory into practice. It's time to go back to that original problem and see how this machine actually performs. So here's our setup again. We've got a wheel and axle. It's lifting a 600 Newton load, and we're only putting in 150 Newtons of effort. We also know the dimensions. The big wheel has a 40 centimeter radius, and the smaller axle has an 8 centimeter radius. The big question is, just how efficient is this thing? Okay, let's walk through this together. Step 1, let's find the velocity ratio. For a wheel and axle, that's just the radius of the wheel divided by the radius of the axle. So 40 divided by 8, that gives us a VR of 5. Easy. Step 2, mechanical advantage. That's our load divided by our effort. 600 divided by 150, which is 4. Okay, and for the grand finale, let's calculate the efficiency. We just take our MA, divided by our VR, so 4 divided by 5, and multiply that by 100%. And what do we get? We get 80%. So this machine is 80% efficient. That means that even though it's giving us this awesome force boost, a chunk of our effort isn't even going into lifting the weight. It's just disappearing, lost to friction. And this visual really breaks it down for us. 80% of the energy you put in did exactly what you wanted it to do. It lifted that heavy load. That's the useful work. But the other 20%? That was the tax you had to pay to friction. It was probably just turned into a little bit of heat in the axle. And that's the deal for every single machine that exists in the real world. And that really gets us to the most important takeaway from all of this. Machines aren't magic. They don't create energy out of nothing. They're more like smart energy managers. They take the force you already have, and they cleverly trade it for distance, letting you do things you could never, ever do on your own. I mean, when you start looking for them, you see these principles everywhere, from the giant levers that might have helped build the pyramids, all the way to the tiny, complex gears inside a modern engine. This stuff is the absolute foundation of all engineering. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know the secret, what are you going to build with it?